How you doing, YouTube? Mountain Massive Beer Reviews, back with... Actually, don't know what this is. Inquiry? Question? There should be a better word from this. I'm sure there's a better word for it. But I just had a thought in my head. A thought process. I figured I'd ask you guys a question. Basically, I'm looking to kind of crowdsource, belly source, do a little beer sourcing for some just, inquiring minds want to know kind of stuff. So, this whole thing is going to be wrapped around what you guys look for in people that do beer reviews on YouTube. Or in general. I mean, we'll stick to YouTube BeerTube just because that's the avenue we're using right here. In what you look for and what you expect from the people that actually you watch the reviews from. Obviously, if you watch me a bulk, I'm the kind of style that you dig, and there's other people out there you watch them. Those are the kind of styles that you dig. But there's a bit of crossover with that, and I got to thinking, it was like a twofold thing. The other day, it was, I did a tag video. There was a tag, I was tagged in a tag video. One of those, kind of things people do, and then you end up responding to it and tagging other people. And the one was your 5 favorite whatever, or your 5 things that you do with beer, or 5 beers, whatever. And a lot of people did Desert Island beers, did your favorite kind of style, stuff like that. I did a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, I'm not going to dodge it though, of things I actually do believe, and I did the 5 things... 5 beers I like to pair with the shit I hate on BeerTube. And it was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, it wasn't. You know what I mean? There's a lot... That stuff I kind of chuckle at. Do you know what I mean? There were, I talked about, jump cuts, ha ha ha, and then I talked about myself being a sour asshole, and I paired that with some sour beer. But there was some stuff in there that was like, pre-pours when people, pour beers into before they actually go on camera and they taste them. You can obviously tell that they taste them, but then they act like it's a surprise, and then disingenuous kind of titles and stuff like that try and draw you in and stuff like that. But at the same time, right around the same time I made the video, I actually ended up getting a beer mail in the mail from a brewery, from Stone Brewing. I never got anything from Stone before, up until this time. And not that I didn't try, you know what I mean? A couple of years ago, I actually wrote a bunch of breweries going, hey, give me shit. And I did it for a while. Stone was they didn't, which is cool. Nobody sends everybody everything. I don't give a shit about that stuff. But they ended up reaching out to me not too long ago, probably a couple of weeks ago. And they said, hey, man, we dig the reviews. Can we send you a beer for review? But the email actually went on to be like, and also a tin of nut butter. And they went on to be like, oh, we made this beer, this Russian Imperial Stout, and we made it with this nut butter, but we also we collaborated on the nut butter itself. So we want to send you this beer, and we want to send you this nut butter. And all we ask, and those are the key words, all that we ask is that you review the beer in the nut butter. And they went on to say, in their credit, we know the nut butter thing is maybe not something you do, but we think it would go over well. In that, in combination of the kind of 5 things that I talked about, more specifically the 3, was got me into thinking, what do you expect from the person that you actually watch on YouTube when it comes to beer reviews? For me, like the stuff that I joked about in that video, half-heartedly joked about in that video, was stuff that I don't expect from somebody that I watch on BeerTube. I mean, not that I watch a ton of stuff. I'm a very busy person, but what I do watch, if they're very, very kind of shticky or very kind of, disingenuous, and that's kind of the word I'm trying to kind of pick on. Maybe, no, transparency. That's probably a better one. Transparency. That's the word I'm looking for. It comes off a little bit as they're not being transparent. And when, Stone wrote that email to me, I immediately wrote back. I was like, hey, thank you very much for thinking of me, and be like, I love me some Russian Imperial Stouts. Sounds like absolutely fantastic, but I wrote, I'm totally not going to review nut butter because that's not what I do. And if I review it, I feel like I'll come off as disingenuous, transparent, and shticky. And I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I appreciate the offer, but I just not what I do. Do you know what I mean? And next day they wrote back, they were like, we totally understand. We're going to send you the beer and the nut butter anyway. Enjoy the nut butter. Don't have to do anything with it. Enjoy the beer. Let us know what you think. Which is pretty cool on their part. And then, that was a couple weeks ago, and whatever. You kind of forget about it. And then I did that kind of 5 things thing, and the next day that beer comes in the mail with the nut butter, and it just got me to thinking, like, how do you feel about beer reviewers that do things like that? Because I've gotten offers outside of beer before. You know what I mean? I have had people send me emails trying to have me be like, hey, during a beer review, can you we'll send you some beard oil. Can you put beard oil in your beard and then talk about it? And I don't even respond. You know, I've had people send me kind of like marketing things for mints. I've had backpacks. People send me shit for backpacks. Probably the only one that I've ever actually responded to was some kid was doing a Kickstarter for a bottle opener. I did that one. I was like, yeah, man, I'll talk about it real quick. I'll use it. It's a bottle opener. So I've had people kind of send me like stuff like that, and I kind of feel like I'd be doing the people that watch my videos a disservice, and by being like, hey, let's talk about these fucking beard oils or whatever the fuck it is. It just ends up being a little bit too like shticky, a little bit too kind of non-transparent, like I'm just trying to be a shill. And the same thing comes with the beer side of things. You know, typically when a brewer sends me, you see all the the unboxings that I do, they're almost always from viewers, because I owe it at least to say, look at this person, how cool they are to send me beer. I'm not trying to do that to be like, hey, look at all the beer I got. I'm just like, motherfucker's going to spend the time to send me beer, I'm going to do that. But I'm lucky enough to where I get beer from breweries on a semi-regular basis. But I don't do unboxings for those. But every time I actually do a review of those beers, I actually go out of my way to make sure, okay, these people sent me this beer. That way you guys know that it's not something I paid for. It's not something I bought. It's not me bragging and be like, hey, look at this brewery, send me some beer. No, it's more like you guys know that they sent it to me. So when I talk about it, if you feel like I'm being overly being way too... favoritism is the word I'm looking for, but I'm not sure how to pluralize it or work it in the conversation I'm having right now. This is what you do when you don't have those jump cuts I hate so much. Anyway, when you're not currying the favor of the brewery too much, then you can call me out on it. Now, I don't think I have a problem with that. I think I've gotten weed as bad and as negative as I have positive with beers that have been sent for me from breweries that continually send me beer, which is pretty cool that they're so cool about it. It's actually one of the reasons why I think I've gotten so much beer from breweries, because they go, wow, you're actually not just saying everything's fucking awesome all the time. But I feel like that's a key component, along with not being too sticky or too kind of commercially. What I look for in a beer tube kind of person. And then, like I said, I did that 5 things, and I talked about, you know, the sensational titles and the pre-pours and all that kind of stuff. And it got me to thinking, like, is that actually what people want to see? I know that's what I want to see, but is that what you guys want to see? What do you give a shit about that kind of thing? You actually give a shit about if somebody's being like genuine about what their intentions are. I'm not necessarily saying what they're saying about the product that they're reviewing is skewed based on the things that they got, but I mean, I don't know. It's a weird thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird for me. I joke about me being an asshole, and I don't think I'm an asshole at all. I don't think most people who are assholes think they are, but I think it's more of a moral, ethical core thing that I think I have. I think a lot of other people have it too. I'm not trying to be like I'm the only person that's righteous in the world. I like when... How do I put this? I like when people don't advertise on their BeerTube channel. I like it when people don't plug a bunch of different things on their BeerTube channel. I like when people say when they got the beer where they got the beer from. And I like it when people who are fairly critical, good, bad, and indifferent of the things that they drink. I don't like it when people are all the way on one end or all the way on the other, unless that's honest, unless that's actually where they are. Now, can that be a bit of a personality fault, that someone just hates everything or loves everything? True, that could be. But that's what I look for. But I actually don't know what you guys look for. And that's kind of what this is me asking that question. What do you look for? You know what I mean? Am I taking it too seriously? Am I taking it and being like, oh, I'm treating this like journalism, to where I'm trying to be super, you know what I mean? Like, kind of have an integrity about it, to where I need to kind of, be on the up and up about exactly all the things I'm doing, or is it a matter of you guys just want to see dudes have fun and drink beer? I'm trying to find out where that medium is. Now, I'm sure it's somewhere in between. I'm sure that it's not all on one end or all on the other end of the spectrum, but I just figured I'd pose the question. Just because it was kind of like with the combination of that brewery sending me, well, you know, Stone wanted to send me off that beer and me being like, I'm not reviewing nut butter, dude. It's not going to happen. To the point where, like, you know, some people got a little bit, you know, peeved, I guess you would say, or a little bit kind of knee-jerk reaction to this stuff that I was kind of making fun of that I view as negative. Because that's what happens when a lot of times you think of these things, you see it from your own spectrum. You see it from what you're seeing. And this is for me to kind of see what you guys are seeing, to see what you're looking for, what you look for in a person that reviews stuff, beer-wise or otherwise. Are you all about the kind of tried true, kind of keep it on an even keel, kind of let's all expose what we're doing, expose our hand and show, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Again, I know, so many words. You know what I mean? Do you want your beer review to be very, I keep wanting to use the word moral and ethically truthful, and that ends up skewing it too far on one end. Do you want them to be very transparent? Again, I said it before, that's the key word here. Do you want them to be transparent about what they do, how they're doing it, and how they're doing it? Or you just want to have a good time? Do you just want to see them having a good time drinking a beer? What do you guys think? Tell me down there. Write me, if you don't want your name down there, write me individually. I will get back to you. It might take me a bit to get back to you. Write me on any avenue you want to, and let's talk about it. It's just something I've always kind of been curious about, whether or not people out there actually give a shit when people are being, obviously, kind of, their transparency is obviously compromised, and are people like, I don't give a shit, you know, I don't give a shit if someone does that, do you know what I mean? All I want is for them to talk about it and for it to be entertaining. Or do you actually want kind of like the blind review thing, to where it's like it's informational, to where it's not skewed or tainted in any form or fashion. So anyway, there you go. A little bit of quick question, not so quick question actually, for you guys out there. So chime in down there, any avenue you want. Write to me, write to whoever, write to Stone about nut butter. But no, I shouldn't fuck with them about it. Anyway, yeah, chime down below, chime anywhere, let me know what you think. And I'm looking forward to it. So there you go. Cheers.